Oh, thank you so much. Oh, yeah.
I was trying to figure out what he was trying to do. I saw him come up there. I wasn't sure what he was doing.
He's got it set up for us.
He set it up?
Yeah.
Oh. Thank you for setting that up, Prabhuji.
See you, welcome. He's very shy.
Yeah.
But that's good.
Me and my brother were the shyest kids anybody ever saw.
Really?
But then my third brother was the dark horse. It was so quiet. It was ridiculous. We're just too quiet.
You can remind us what the verse is, though. You can read the verse again.
Okay.
Very good.
Yeah, definitely. It's text 34, right?
Right. I heard someone say that Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati, sometimes with certain verses, he would talk on them for a month.
I think it was the first verse of the Bhagavatam, right?
I don't know. I'm sure it was more than one.
Yeah, you're probably right. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabi Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Krishna is the lover of Radha. He displays many amorous pastimes in the groves of Vrindavan. He is the lover of the cowherd maidens of Raj, the holder of the great hill named Govardhan, the beloved son of Mother Jasoda, and the delight of the inhabitants of Raj. He wanders in the forest along the banks of the river Jamuna.
So I'm gonna have to leave around 8:15. I have a doctor's appointment.
Oh, yeah.
So we are gonna have
Prabhuji, do you want to just read? We're just gonna read to the. We're not gonna repeat or anything. Okay. Do you want to read that?
Yeah.
You can see it.
Ruteratam yat pratiyeta
Ruteratam yat pratiyeta
na pratiyeta chatmani
na pratiyeta chatmani
tadvidyat atmano mayam
tadvidyat atmano mayam
yatha vasho yatha tamaha
yatha vaso yatha tamaha.
So we don't need to do the word for word. Translation. O Brahma, whatever appears to be of any value, if it is without relation to me, has no reality. Know it as my illusory energy, that reflection which appears to be in darkness. O Brahma, whatever appears to be of any value, if it is without relation to me, has no reality. Know it as my illusory energy, that reflection which appears to be in darkness. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Please repeat. Narayanam Namaskritya.
Narayanam Namaskritya.
Naram Chaiva Narottamam.
Naram Chaiva Narottamam.
Devim Saraswatim Vyasam.
Devim Saraswatim Vyasam.
Tadojayam Mudiraya.
Tadojayam Mudiraya.
Please repeat. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam,
before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam,
which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead Narayan.
One should offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of God, Lord Narayan.
Unto Narayan Rishi,
unto Narayan Rishi,
the supermost human being.
Supermost human being.
Unto Mother Saraswati,
and Mother Saraswati,
the goddess of learning.
The goddess of learning.
And unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author.
And unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author.
Shunvatam Svakata Krishna.
Shunvata Svakata Krishna.
Punya Shravana Kirtana.
Punya Shravana Kirtana.
Vidyantostoya Bhadrani.
Vidyantos Bhadrani.
Vidunoti Suritsatam.
Vidunoti Suritsatam.
Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead.
Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead.
Who is the Paramatma super soul in everyone's heart.
Who is the Paramatma super soul in everyone's heart.
And the benefactor of the truthful devotee.
And the benefactor of the truthful devotee.
Cleanses desire for material enjoyment.
claims a desire for material enjoyment
from the heart of the devotee,
from the heart of the devotee,
who has developed the urge to hear his messages,
who has developed an urge to hear his messages,
which are in themselves virtuous when properly heard and
which
chanted.
are in themselves virtuous when properly heard and chanted.
Nasta Preshu Badreshu
Nishtapreshu Bhadreshu
Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya
Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya
Bhagavatam Ashloke
Bhagavatam Ashloke
Bhakti Bhavati Naishtiki.
Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtuki.
By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam,
A regular attendance in the classes on the Bhagavatam
and by the rendering of service to the pure devotee,
and rendering service to the pure devotee,
all that is troublesome to the heart
all that is troublesome to the heart
is almost completely destroyed,
is almost completely destroyed.
and loving service unto the personality of Godhead,
And loving service unto the personality of Godhead,
who is praised with transcendental songs,
whose praise with transcendental songs
is established as irrevocable fact.
is established as an irrevocable fact.
We're reading from the second canto, the 9th chapter, very long purport. This is the third day, I guess, we've been on this purport.
Yes.
And so we're continuing Srila Prabhupada's purport. Persons with a poor fund of knowledge become illusions, and therefore these so-called scientists, physiologists, and great philosophers, etc., become dazzled by the glaring reflection of the sun, moon, electricity, etc., and deny the existence of the Supreme Lord, putting forward theories and different speculations about the creation, maintenance, and annihilation of everything material. The medical practitioner may deny the existence of the soul in the physiological bodily construction of an individual person, but he cannot give life to a dead body, even though all the mechanisms of the body exist even after death. The psychologist makes a serious study of the psychophysiological conditions of the brain, and if the construction of the cerebral lump were the machine of the functioning mind, but in a dead body, a psychologist cannot bring back the function of the mind. These scientific studies of the cosmic manifestation or the bodily construction independent of the Supreme Lord are different reflective intellectual gymnastics only, but at the end they are all illusion and nothing more. All such advancement of science and knowledge in the present context of material civilization is but an action of the covering influence of illusory energy. I read that sentence to Fate last night. He's really into science and all that. I read it to him a couple times and I said, that is an amazing sentence right there. All such advancement of science and knowledge in the present context of material civilization is but an action of the covering influence of the illusory energy. The illusory energy has two phases of existence, namely the covering influence and the throwing influence. By the throwing influence, the illusory energy throws the living entities into the darkness of ignorance. And by the covering of influence, she covers the eyes of men with a poor fund of knowledge about the existence of the Supreme Person, who enlightened the Supreme Individual Living Being, Brahman. Just see, a while ago I was saying, you mean they don't play in the kitchen? I'm so dull. I didn't realize, well, I'm not even using the microphone. How can they transmit it into the kitchen? Yeah. So, just so dull, deep under the influence of the illusory energy. The illusory energy has two phases of existence, namely the covering influence and the throwing influence. By the throwing influence, the illusory energy throws the living entities into the darkness of ignorance. and by the covering influence, she covers the eyes of men with a profound knowledge about the existence of the Supreme Person, who enlightened the Supreme Individual Living Being, Brahma. The identity of Brahma with the Supreme Lord is never claimed herein, and therefore such a foolish claim by the man with the profound of knowledge is another display of the illusory energy of the Lord. The Lord says in the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 16, text 18 through 20, that demoniac persons who deny the existence of the Lord are thrown more and more into the darkness of ignorance. And thus, such demoniac persons transmigrate life after life without any knowledge of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. I'll just read the English. The first text mentioned is, Krishna says, bewildered by false ego, strength, pride, lust, and anger, the demon becomes envious of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is situated in his own body and in the bodies of others, and blasphemes against the real religion. Those who are envious and mischievous, who are the lowest among men, are cast by me into the ocean of material existence, into various demoniac species of life. Attaining repeated birth among the species of demoniac life, such persons can never approach me. Gradually they sink down to the most abominable type of existence. Wow, it's all explained. Krishna explains everything in Bhagavad Gita. It's so wonderful. If you read it from everything in there, it's just like if you're a Boy Scout, you've got the Boy Scout manual. Everything about being a Boy Scout is in there, from the neophyte to the advanced stages. It's all there.
Well, I was noticing also, just on that point, that in the Isha Upanishad, the purports, especially, obviously for words, verses, but the purports, it's like an owner's manual that's written by the manufacturer. When you get a new computer or a new gadget, here's what the manufacturer says, this is how you operate this thing. And if you don't operate in this way, this could happen, that could happen. But if you do operate, it will last so long, and then it will be resolved.
And then they got the problem-solving section.
Yeah.
If this is happening, then this is probably the reason, and this is what you do to solve the problem. So that's really good.
You've been doing wrong, not us. You've been doing something wrong. So then to stop, you have to stop doing that, and then this is the way to fix it. But in the end, it will be annihilated. It's planned obsolescence.
Yeah, planned obsolescence, absolutely.
But even the Lord says that this universe, at a certain point, it's finished.
Prabhupada, just the other day, when the devotees were singing memory tapes, that Prabhupada said, all these books, the purpose of all these books is to chant the Mahamantra. And even Faye heard that, and it's just, there's no way I can get through to him. There's no way I can get through to Faye. There's no way I can get through to him. He loves watching the tapes and everything, but he just can't get the message. It's so easy. But, and then he'll use excuses like, but I'm not pure, and all that, So, just like yesterday, I was trying to get him to say, he was asking me a question about a chariot. And he had just heard it, on the tape. And I said, well, Fed, I know you can, I just want to tell you the proper way to say it, Acharya,
Oh, sorry, I thought you were saying chariot.
Acharya, right? And so, I got plenty of comedy information down there. I mean, it's a rich source. It is a rich source. And it's not to make fun of him because,
No.
we're very, very, very good friends. And he's a wonderful person. And that he's alive is a miracle, that he survived the airline crash. And then I said, go ahead, you can say it. I know you can say it. Chariot. No, wait a minute. It's Acharya, Acharya. Chariot. And it's like, I don't know, like 3 times, And as it's not a chariot like the chariot you're sitting in, a chariot. It's Acharya,
Like charcoal.
I say it really slow,
Yeah.
But I can't get him to say that right, So what's the hope of the Maha Mantra,
You can't say Krishna?
Yeah, you say Krishna.
Oh, that's something. Children, in the beginning, most children, they can say Hare Rama, but Krishna usually comes out like Nishka. Did your children say Krishna in the beginning when they first learned to speak? Do you remember? The KR sounds hard for them.
I don't think they had any special difficulty.
Yeah, most of the children I've known, they'll Hare Rama, and then that's probably because they're coming from a previous birth, elevated birth. So, but they'll say something like Hare Nishka or like that. Actually, there's one very interesting, funny story. I won't mention names, but this one Mataji, her daughter was, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 years old, and she says to her mother, I know who Krishna is, but who is Hare Nishka? She said, what? She said, yeah, in the morning you're saying Hare Nishka, Hare Nishka, Nishka, Nishka.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. And people don't always even know it too. You can be on the altar like that, Maya Sevika, and you can hear everybody chanting. Because you're busy on the altar, but you can hear everybody how they chant, how they fall asleep repeatedly or whatever. But, the same man, however, is enlightened in the disciplic succession from Brahmaji, who was personally instructed by the Lord, or in the disciplic succession from Arjuna, who was personally instructed by the Lord in the Bhagavad Gita. He accepts this statement of the Lord, Aham sarvasya prabhava mata sarvam pravartate iti matva bhajante mam buddha bhava samandita. Bhagavad Gita 10:8. In a translation in the Bhagavad Gita, I am the source of all spiritual and material worlds. Everything emanates from me. The wise who know this perfectly engage in my devotional service and worship me with all their hearts. Krishna says right there, I am the source of all spiritual and material worlds. Everything emanates from me. The wise who know this perfectly engage in my devotional service, worship me with all their hearts. Wow. I can see why Prabhupada said that this was, one of the nutshell verses. And it's pretty obvious the next verse is connected to it. The thoughts of my pure devotees dwell in me, the lives are surrendered to me, and they derive great satisfaction and bliss, enlightening one another and conversing about me. Tesham satta yutanam bhajatam pritipurvakam dami bhuri yogam tam yenamam upiyatite. To those who are constantly devoted and worship me with love, I give the understanding by which they can come to me. Out of compassion for them, I, dwelling in their hearts, destroy with the shining lamp of knowledge the darkness born of ignorance. So Prabhu says in purport, The Lord is the original source of all emanations, and everything that is created, maintained, and annihilated exists by the energy of the Lord. The same man who knows this is actually learned, and therefore he becomes a pure devotee of the Lord, engaged in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. You know, if it's hard with our Kali Yuga minds to understand what transcendental means, but if we have a chance to serve prasadam, blessed food, remnants of the Lord, and maybe some people will be chanting, maybe in colleges, then their eyes are, cleansed more and more in their understanding. They can get a better understanding of what transcendental sound vibration really means. Prabhupada says that everything can be accomplished by transcendental sound vibration. He says if you're not serious about this supernatural transcendental subject matter, one need not approach the bona fide spiritual master, because you'll simply waste his time and you'll simply waste your time. But just by having that sincere desire, Krishna can purify us and guide us from within even. And even to approach a Chaitya Guru within, to help us to approach a bona fide spiritual master. And Chaitya Guru says, you take instruction from this authorized person. But it's very important for us to be humble, because in this age, wow, how can we learn anything without accepting the authority? So important. So Prabhupada says, although the reflectory energy of the Lord displays various illusions to the eyes of persons with a poor fund of knowledge, the same person knows clearly that the Lord can act, even from far, far beyond our vision, by his different energies, just as fire can diffuse heat and light from a distant place. In the medical science of the ancient sages, known as Ayurveda, there is definite acceptance of the Lord's supremacy in the following words. Jagad Yonir Ani Chasha Chid Anandaka Rupinaha Humsosti Pratir Nitya Pratitcha Yeva Bashvataha Setanapi Chaitanya Yogena Para Matmanaha Akroda Vishvam Akilam Anityam Nata Ka Kritam Tim. There is one supreme person who is the progenitor of this cosmic manifestation, and whose energy acts as Prakriti, or the material nature, dazzling like a reflection. But such illusory action of Prakriti, even dead matter, is caused to move by the cooperation of living energy of the Lord, and the material world appears like a dramatic performance to the ignorant eyes. The ignorant person, therefore, may even be a scientist or a physiologist in the drama of Prakriti, while the same person knows Prakriti is as the illusory energy of the Lord. By such a conclusion, as confirmed by the Bhagavad Gita, it is clear that the living entities are also a display of the Lord's superior energy, Prakriti, just as the material world is a display of the Lord's inferior energy, Prakriti. The superior energy of the Lord cannot be as good as the Lord, although there is very little difference between the energy and the possessor of the energy, or the fire and the heat. The superior energy of the Lord cannot be as good as the Lord, although there is very little difference between the energy and the possessor of the energy, or the fire and the heat. Fire is possessed of heat, but heat is not fire. This simple thing is not understood by the man with the poor fund of knowledge, who falsely claims that the fire and heat are the same. And speaking of the Upanishad, the invocation, Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnam Udachate Purnasha Purnamadaya Purnameva Vishishyate. Personality of Godhead is perfect and complete. And because He is completely perfect, all emanations from Him, such as this phenomenal world, are perfectly equipped as a complete whole. Whatever is produced of the complete whole is also complete by itself. And because He is the complete whole, even though so many complete units emanate from Him, He remains the complete balance. You know, like one little screw in a machine, the whole machine usually doesn't depend on one little screw. In some cases, it does. I mean, the whole thing might break down if one screw gets lost. But in many cases, the machine's so big that it's just part of the covering or part of holding something, you know. And if a screw falls out, you might get a little vibration, but it may not cause the whole thing to fall apart. So we're like just a little screw in a machine. If we fall out on the floor, we may be discovered and put back, you know. It may be a long time before we're discovered, you know, and put back. But the spiritual master knows our place. He can help us get placed back in the proper function of the big machine. We have our place. We have our purpose. That's a mundane example, but it's kind of nice. It's kind of nice to know that that screw is put there for a reason. It was created for a reason. It was placed there for a reason. It has a purpose. But if it gets, due to whatever reason, if it loses its position and falls, just like we fall from the spiritual world, and lays out there, that poor little screw, you know, he has a function, you know, and everybody wants to, because we have a serving propensity. People may not think that, but we actually do. You know, may think, well, I don't serve anybody. Say if you don't even have a job or a family, well, you're serving at least your body. It needs shelter, it needs food. So we have a serving propensity. It's just that we need to approach the Mahatmas, the great souls, to truly be enlightened, if we seek enlightenment, to understand how we can actually be happy in life. As that song goes, don't worry, be happy. But the problem is they don't tell you how to be happy. And in that very video, Robin Williams is in that very video, and he ended up in life committing suicide. You know. So, yeah, we want to be happy. But we want to be truly, truly, truly the deepest, transcendentally, richly happy. But that can only happen in the service of the Lord. And that can only happen by the guidance of an authorized Parampara, an authorized science of self-realization. And one thing's for certain, the Lord's already in our heart. Just like Oprah Winfrey got Super Soul Sunday. She's been in India. She probably got the idea from India. Super Soul Sunday. But Super Soul, it's Krishna, you know. It's not saying that here's a soul that's super. No, it's...
Who's this person?
Oprah Winfrey. She has something called Super Soul Sunday.
Huh.
But she's been to India, you know. Julia Roberts is the one that got her involved, you know. Or turned her on with the movie Eat, Pray, and Love. Eat, Pray, Love, you know. So, but in Kali Yuga, people are just very much consumed with just gratifying the senses. And if you can make a living, just make a living, well, it's like you're successful, you know, and support a family. Oh my God, one family. But what if you had like 3 families or 5, you know, in previous ages, you know? I mean, and you easily supported them? That's the Vedic culture. Abundant grains, abundant cows, the whole Vedic culture. Abundance and happiness, for everyone connected with Krishna consciousness, Krishna wants us to be happy. He doesn't want us to be unhappy. The material energy may be compared to darkness, as actually it is darkness, and the activities of the living entities in the darkness are a reflection of the original light. The Lord should be understood by the context of this verse. Non-dependence on both energies of the Lord is explained as Maya or illusion. Non-dependence on both the energies of the Lord is explained as Maya or illusion. No one can make a solution of the darkness of ignorance simply by the reflection of light. Similarly, no one can come out of the material existence simply by the reflective light of the common man. One has to receive the light from the original light itself. The reflection of sunlight in the darkness is unable to drive out the darkness, but the sunlight outside the reflection can drive out the darkness completely. In darkness, no one can see the things in a room. Therefore, a person in the dark is afraid of snakes and scorpions. Although there may not be such things, but in the light, the things in the room can be seen clearly seen, and the fear of snakes and scorpions is at once removed. Therefore, one has to take shelter of the light of the Lord, as in the Bhagavad Gita or the Srimad Bhagavatam, and not the reflected personalities who have no touch with the Lord. No one should hear Bhagavad Gita or Srimad Bhagavatam from a person who does not believe in the existence of the Lord. Such a person is already doomed, and by association with such a doomed person makes the associator also doomed. So it's the blind leading the blind. Eventually, they'll be in the ditch. Eventually.
So do you know how to turn all that off?
I just push a button, I believe, right
That's
now.
right, push the button. And then push the other thing flat.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna. Sorry, I have to see my cardiologist.
No, cardiologist, yeah.
Yeah.
I guess everybody's praying for Bhakti Jerusalem.
Well, I just heard that apparently we're getting the news a little later, and he's already 90%, he's getting 90% more oxygen.
Oh,
They have him on a ventilator.
wow.
So,
That's good.
yeah. He was, that's it.
I wonder what his age is now.
I know he's a little bit older than me, I think. About the same age, a little older.
What is he?
He's in Florida. I mean, I found that surprising. I mean, because I was thinking he'd be in India, and I don't think you can travel from India to here now. So maybe he was in Florida. He has a place there called The Land. It's a place, actually, The Land, Florida is a town near Orlando, between Orlando and Ocala. Yeah. Anyway, it's not over.
Does he have a farm down there or something?
Yeah, he has like 100 and something acres.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they were going to do something there.
It probably reminds him of India.
Well, that part of the country does. Prabhupada said that this reminded him of Mayapur.
Oh, wow. Prabhupada said that?
Yeah, said it's flat. There was not, it was different, a little bit different than. But that part of Florida there, you drive through like Central Florida there on the highway, you see cows and it's flat. Just very similar to parts of Mayapur.
Thank you all for coming.
Thank you for giving your love.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Oh,
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah, I had one boy. My dad had 4 boys. According to the Padma Purana, within the material compass, there are innumerable material universes, and all of them are full of darkness. Any living being, beginning from the Brahmas, there are innumerable Brahmas in innumerable universes, to the insignificant ant, are all born in darkness. And they require factual light from the Lord to see Him directly. Just as the sun can be seen only by direct light of the sun, no lamp or man-made torch, however powerful it may be, can help one see the sun. The sun reveals itself. Therefore, the action of different energies of the Lord, or the personality of God in himself, can be realized by the light manifested by the causeless mercy of the Lord. The impersonalists say that God cannot be seen. God can be seen by the light of God and not by man-made speculations. Here, this light is specifically mentioned as Vidya, which is an order by the Lord to Brahma. This direct order of the Lord is a manifestation of his internal energy, and this particular energy is the means of seeing the Lord face to face. Not only Brahma, but anyone who may be graced by the Lord to see such merciful direct internal energy can also realize the personality of Godhead without any mental speculation. So I'll just read one little pastime here, just a couple pages. It's from the Gita Mahatmya. Lord Shiva's glorification of the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 18. Parvati said, "My dear husband, you have told me the glories of the 17th chapter of Srimad Bhagavad Gita. Now kindly relate the glories of the 18th chapter of Srimad Bhagavad Gita." Lord Shiva said, "O daughter of the Himalayas, Parvati, please listen to the glories of the 18th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita, which is higher than the Vedas and the giver of unlimited bliss. When it enters into one's ears, it destroys all material desires. For the pure devotee, it is divine nectar. It is Lord Vishnu's very life, and it is a solace to the hearts of Lord Indra and the demigods, as well as the great yogis headed by Sanak and Sananda. One who recites it sends the messengers of Yamaraj far away. There is no other recitation which can be so quickly destroy all sin and free one from the threefold miseries of this world. Now listen with great devotion. On the topmost peak of Mount Meru is Amaravati, which was built by Vishvakarma. In that heavenly kingdom, Lord Indra and his wife Sachi are served by the demigods. One day while Lord Indra was sitting peacefully, he saw that a beautiful person had arrived there, whom the servants of Lord Vishnu were serving. When Lord Indra saw the beautiful young person, he immediately fell from his throne to the ground. At that time the demigods, who had been worshipping Indra, picked up Indra's crown and placed it on the head of the beautiful person. Then all the demigods and other denizens of the heavenly planets started to perform arti and sing wonderful songs to the new King Indra. The great rishis came there and offered their blessings and chanted Vedic mantras, and the Gandharvas and Apsaras started to sing and dance joyfully. In this way, the new Indra, who had not performed the usual 100 horse sacrifices, started to enjoy hundreds of different types of services rendered by the demigods and other denizens of the heavenly planets. When the old Indra saw this, he became very surprised. He thought to himself, quote, "This person here has never built wells or dug kunds, or planted trees for the welfare of others. And when there were droughts, he did not provide grains and charity. He never performed any fire sacrifices or great charities in the holy places. How has he managed to attain my seat?" The old Indra, feeling greatly disturbed in his mind, went to the ocean of milk to pray to Lord Vishnu. When he obtained the darshan of Lord Vishnu, he asked him, "My dear Lord Vishnu, in the past I performed many sacrifices and other pious activities for which I was installed as the Lord of heaven. But now another person has come and taken my place as the King of heaven. This person in his life never performed any great, wonderful pious activities, nor had he performed any great Vedic sacrifices. How is it possible that he has obtained my throne?" Lord Vishnu said, quote, My dear Indra, that great soul that has daily performed the recitation of the 18th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita, every day, okay, so he's talking about this soul, my dear Indra, that great soul has daily performed the recitation of the 18th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita. Every day during his life, he recited 5 shlokas from this chapter, and because of that activity, he has attained the results of all sorts of pious activities and jugnas, and after enjoying for many years as the King of Heaven, he will attain my personal abode. If you perform the same activity of reciting the 18th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita, you can also attain my divine abode. After hearing Lord Vishnu's words, Lord Indra took the form of a Brahmana and went to the bank of the Godavari river, where he saw the town of Kalagrani, which is very sacred. At that place, the Supreme Lord, in his form known as Kailashva, resides. Close to this town, on the bank of the Godavari river, a pure Brahmana was sitting, who was very merciful and had understood the topmost goal and secret of the Vedic literatures. Daily he would sit at that spot and recite the shlokas of the 18th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita. When Lord Indra saw him, he became very happy. He immediately fell at his lotus feet and requested him to teach him the 18th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita. Lord Indra then practiced the recitation of the 18th chapter of Srimad Bhagavad Gita for some time, and he attained the topmost place of Vishnu Loka. When he attained that place, he realized that the pleasure he had enjoyed as King Indra, along with the demigods, was nothing in comparison. My dear Parvati, for this reason, the great sages especially chant the 18th chapter of Srimad Bhagavad Gita. By so doing, very quickly attain the lotus feet of Lord Vishnu. Anyone who hears or studies this Gita Mahatmya very quickly destroys all sins which he has accumulated, and that person who remembers this discourse with great faith attains the results of all kinds of pious activities and great sacrifices, and after enjoying all worldly opulences, attains the abode of Lord Vishnu. Thus sends the glories of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita, as spoken by Lord Shiva to his wife, Parvati Devi. Jai, glories of Bhagavad Gita. Anybody have any questions, comments?
You probably already noticed that I was reading in Canto 4, what comes to my mind when we talk about Lord Shiva, how Prabhupada has given us the understanding that he's not Vishnu, but he's not the living entity. Has almost all the power of Vishnu, not all of it. And then he gives the example of yogurt, how it's transformed milk.
Are you talking about Lord Brahma?
Shiva. You're talking about
Shiva, okay. Yeah.
And how it's transformed milk. It's the quality of milk is there's milk there, but it's not milk. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So in the same way, Shiva has almost all the power. He's not Vishnu. He's not the living entity either. So yeah, he was saying too about how Vishnu is the only one I think it's called Vishuddha Sattva, where his body is not material. Whereas Lord Brahma and Shiva in that situation.
Yeah. I've heard it said that that's the closest the Lord actually comes to touching material energies through Lord Shiva. Pretty interesting, huh?
Yep, I had someone else that was interesting. Would you like to hear that? I mean, the first time I ever read that in the 4th canto, I was reading the 4th canto. I'm sorry, it has nothing to do with the class. I can't relate it to the class. But you're saying something interesting. I never knew that I was reading about Garuda and how the Prachetas satisfied the Lord. So he appeared, and the Prabhupada explains how it was a rare kind of thing, but he came as 8 hands rather than as 4 as a Vishnu. When he appeared before the Prachetas because they satisfied him. So he came in this beautiful form of 8 arms, and Garuda was carrying him. So Garuda, Prabhupada was saying, is known for the planet Tingnada Loka, where Prabhupada was explaining that they have wings there and they sing the glories of the Lord, but they have human bodies. Something, wow, this is interesting because that's what the Bible talks about angels. You know?
Yeah.
So that Prabhupada's like confirming it in the Vedic scriptures, how, because there's 8,4,000 species of life. So that was an interesting thing.
You know, go ahead. But you know, Krishna is the origin of variety. Variety is the spice of life, but we can't even begin to imagine the varieties that Krishna has already. I mean, through the material world and the spiritual world, it's just inconceivable. He's the origin. Imagine little birds that fly around and sing songs every morning. They fly from branch to branch to get their breakfast. They sing their songs. And all the animals and then the humans and different kinds of living beings on different planets. And glorious things are going on. It's just like when my wife passed away. You know, it's like I wanted to go to mountaintop and shout out to everybody. Does anybody know that my wife passed away? And she was like this, and she was like that. She went through all these difficult struggles. Like it felt like the whole world wasn't even aware of her at all. You know, but I spent my life trying to keep her alive. Not my life, but you know, it was very difficult trying to keep her alive. You know, and this is what it felt like. You know, I'm sure everybody feels like that when they lose a loved one. You know. I couldn't imagine losing a child. Oh my God. You know. Anybody else have comments, questions, or anything? Our glories to Simul devotees, our glories to Parampara, our glories to Srila Prabhupada, our glories to Shishi Gauritai, Shishi Radha Radhakanta, our glories to New Talavana, our glories to cow protection, our glories to Srila Prabhupada and all the devotees. Ki Jai. You want to glorify everybody. You make a long list. It really is a beautiful place. If you take pictures and you look at them later, it's like, wow, that really was a beautiful day. That really was a beautiful area, you know? You know what I mean? Yeah. Just right there, I'm looking out at those trees there. Yeah. And the sunlight coming through, sun-dappled leaves, you know.
When I used to teach, we have a creative writing class, and when you come to where the brook is, and there's a descriptive way of writing where you use all your senses. So you're right, they were able to see the beautiful form, hear the beautiful brook, hear the birds that you're saying, touch, different things, smell flowers. Yeah, so you're right. The children have that, my children and other devoted children have that opportunity to have that, be able to be at Talavana and take part of the school system.
If you're here tomorrow, Mataji, will you be here tomorrow?
I don't know, to see Krishna Angels.
Well, I finished the purport.
You see this?
Next text will be 35.
You can just write with the writing over here, Michael?
Okay. Okay.
I don't know what the mark is, but yeah. Oh, so you finished the purport, so it's the next text.
Yeah, we'll be going on to text 35 next.
I don't know if this is helpful, if it's not, forgive me. Maybe encourage faith. He has some kind of, I have a relationship with it, my guru, his sixth guru, he was mentioning, that Satsarut Maharaj would want him to chant. It's like a life preserver.
Yeah, I know.
And if you just cast it aside, it's not going to help you when you're drowning in that ocean.
I've done all the talking I can do all these years, and he's still not chanting, so. I don't know if anybody can reach him. He was reading from one of Satsarup's books last night.
Okay.
He likes reading his books.
Imagine my Guru Maharaj puts a lot of Hare Krishna on tables. What do you want? Don't we put Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna. So when he's reading Krishna, Krishna. Maybe not be able to do it, but